Hello and welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to take a side step and take a look at what is Jinja and what is Jinja template with very simple examples. And the reason is because we are going to use these syntax frequently in the upcoming lessons. So it's good to be aware of what these syntax means. And in the very first case, let's look at how we can use the Jinja template for a variable. So what I've done here is I'm in the project folder J1, and here I'm going to create a new file app.py, and in addition to this we are going to use HTML. So for that we are going to create a folder templates templates, and inside of templates we will create another file which is hello.html. All right, so with this, what here is the basic idea. Let's say if we are trying to create a HTML page with just as a header. So let's say we have a header, and the syntax for that is in angle brackets we have h1, and then closing angle brackets we have /h1. So that's the HTML part. Now inside of this we can type hello comma, and then this is the Jinja part where we use two curly braces, and inside of this we specify the variable name, and at the end of this we put an exclamation mark. So the idea is that what your variable name is in the name variable, it will get put in this string and get displayed as a heading 1 in the browser when we go to the hello.html. And to make that all happen, we just have our standard uh, Flask Python Flask code, which is from Flask import Flask with a uppercase F, and then render underscore template to render the HTML, and we initialize our app just the way that we have always been doing, which is app is equal to Flask, and in parentheses we have underscore name. Then we use a route, so app.route, and we'll keep this to the root URL. Below that is our function hello, and what this function does is it here we are hard coding the value for the function for the variable name, and I'm just going to put Nilesh, and what we return from this function as soon as someone visits the root URL is the following: render template, and we tell what HTML should it render, and that's going to be hello.html. And when this HTML is rendered, does it need any additional information to render it, and we are going to pass in the value or the name of the variable in name here. So this value of Nilesh will get transferred here, and that will then be available in here to be able to print hello Nilesh exclamation mark. So let's save both of these. Before we end this code, we of course have to write if underscore name underscore is equal to underscore main underscore, and then here we simply say app.run and debug is equal to true. So with this, let's go in the terminal and try and run python app.py, and if I come here and refresh this, we see the text being printed hello Nilesh, which is heading 1, and that's why it appears in bold and large font size. So that's one use case of Jinja. So Jinja is essentially a bridge between HTML and Python. So if we need some Python to work inside of the HTML, we need to put that in these curly braces for it to work. Let's now look at another example where we are going to use the Jinja template again, in which we are going to put a Python code, and this time the Python code is going to be a for loop. And to get started, I am again in the project folder J2. Here we'll create the file app.py, and then we are going to create another folder which is called templates, and this is where we are going to put our HTML. And the HTML that we are going to use is fruits.html, where we'll simply list the fruits using a for loop. And so let's get and write the code for HTML. So h2, that's the heading 2, fruit list, and below that we are going to create a list, and therefore we have this syntax ul, and closing ul is /ul. Inside of this we have the Jinja template, so that, and in here we are going to put a percent sign, and what the percent sign is for is where we are going to use some sort of functionality such as a for loop where we are doing something. So we say for fruit in fruits, and we are not putting a colon at the end of this, we simply leave it at that. And then inside of this is going to be our inner block for the for loop, and so we manually have to press the tab, and again here this is going to be a list, so I'm going to put list item, and there is the closing angle brackets. Inside this, what we are going to print is simply the fruit, the value whatever is there in this variable fruit in each of the iterations. And as soon as the for loop ends, we are going to signal that with this angle bracket %%, and here we'll say end for. So that is the Jinja template we are using, where we are using percent inside of the angle brackets to signal that this is uh, some sort of uh, uh, action we are doing there. And here this is to be double curly brackets, so that's signaling that it's just a value that we are going to put. And to make all of this work, we need to come back here in app.py and write the same code that we have been using. So from Flask, import Flask render underscore template, and then we have app is equal to Flask and underscore name, and then below that we write our app, so app.route, and here we are going to say fruits because that's the page we'll try to visit once the Flask app is running. Then we have the function fruits, and this function simply is going to return this list of fruits. So fruit underscore list is equal to, let's put in some fruits, apple, then we have banana, and let's say we have an orange. And after that we return this with the render template where we tell what HTML file we are looking at, so that's fruits.html, and what the value is, the fruits is equal to fruit list, and this fruits is the name we used here in the for loop. So this fruits is the variable name we need to use here because that's where we are assigning the value. So this value fruit list will then come in here. So essentially we are saying for fruit in fruit list do the following. Right, so let's go ahead and save this, and in here we still have to write the last part of the code, which is the if statement. So if underscore underscore name underscore underscore is equal to underscore main is equal to underscore underscore, and here we say app dot run debug is equal to true, then save this. And now I'm going to simply close the previous run, then go to the folder J2, clear this, and then run using python app.py, and hopefully when we refresh this we see, so no URL found. That's true because we are not looking at the root URL, instead we need to navigate to the fruits. So we put /fruits and run this again, and here we see the values in the fruit list being listed here. And the way we did this is not explicitly typing each fruit for each list, but we use something dynamic on the fly. Python created that list, and that is what we see here. So Jinja template is trying to help us automate some of these tasks in the HTML. So far we looked at how we can get just a variable value in the HTML using Jinja from Python. Next we looked at how we can use the for loop in Python inside of HTML file by using the Jinja syntax. Now we will use if statement from Python inside HTML using Jinja templates. And for that, let's go ahead. I'm in the project folder J3. Here, as usual, we are going to create our app.py file, and then we are going to go back here, create the templates folder where we put our HTML files, and the HTML file that we are going to call is status.html. And in this file we are going to type uh, three things. This is going to be the if. So here we type the if and check the condition. So we need curly braces and then the %sign there, because either we are using the for loop, or if we need to use the %sign in there. So we say if logged in, which is to say if the value of logged in a variable is equal to true, then do the following, which is uh, we are going to say welcome back. And if that is not the case, then we need to use the Jinja part here, Jinja syntax with the else, and inside of this we are going to say please log in. So we use the paragraph and then say please log in, and that's about it. And with the last line we are going to end the if. So say end if %sign. So pretty straightforward. Just as for loop, we need to sort of enclose all the Python code inside of these curly braces. So if it's a for loop or if, we need to use the %. If it's just a variable, we just put two curly braces, opening and closing. Now coming back to the app.py, we are going to import Flask. So from Flask, import Flask with uppercase, render underscore template, app is equal to Flask, and here we have underscore name underscore underscore, and then we use the app dot route, and the page we are going to visit is going to be the status. So the function is going to be status. Doesn't have to be the same name. Here we do have the same name though. We will hard code the value of logged in variable as true for now. We'll try and change it to false and see what happens. Then we'll return a render template with the name of the file, HTML file, that is status.html, which Flask will search for automatically in the templates folder. Then we specify the logged in variable, which we specify here in the Jinja template where we write Python code, and the value for that is again the same variable name. Doesn't have to be the same variable name here, but we are using the same name. And in the end, it's if statement. So if underscore underscore name underscore underscore is equal to quotes underscore underscore main underscore underscore, and then we have the app dot run debug is equal to true. Perfect. So with this, let's go in here and try and run this file. So python app.py, and there is an error. So let's see what the error is. Render template, so my mistake. Template, that's the typo there. Let's run this again. And did you mean render out? So again typo, render template, so two typos. All right, so hopefully it will run now, and it is. Now we need to navigate to status folder, so I'm going to put status and run this. And as you can see, because we have a logged in value set to true, what happens is this condition is true, and so we enter this block and we see the welcome back in the browser. If we now go back here and change this to false, then what is going to happen is this condition is going to be false, so we do not enter this block of code. If we move forward, and the else block would run, and inside of the else block we have the message please log in, and we should see that message here in the browser now when we refresh it, and that's what we see. So this is how an if statement can be used in HTML using the Jinja templates. Now we are going to look at another example where we'll use the Jinja template to do some formatting, and for that I'm here in the J4 project folder. We will go ahead and create the app.py file as usual, and also create the templates folder. So click on here, you see that blue square pop up, then we click on this plus folder and type templates in the name of the folder. Click on this file, and the file we create this time is called user.html. Now in user.html, here is what we want to do. We are going to type the name, then type balance and name length. So these are the three things we need. So the way we are going to do that is we are going to put each of these lines inside of these angled brackets for the paragraph. And so I'm going to select these and type, let's type P right here, and I'm going to just cut and paste it in middle. Then again type P, and then take this and cut and paste that in the middle. Now here is the Jinja part that comes in for formatting. Because we are not using any dynamic stuff such as for loop, if we are not going to use the percentage sign, simply need the double opening and closing curly braces in here. That's the name of the variable, and the pipe operator and upper. So this is to tell that convert it to an uppercase. Next we have the format, so the numeric value for balance. We put the pipe operator, so format balance, so that let's say some balance we are going to show in the browser, and here is going to be the format. So here we say percent point to f, and that's how we would like our float to be displayed in the browser. That's the standard Python formatting. And then finally we have the name, and for the name we are going to get how many characters long it is, and that's why we have the length there. So that's all we have in the user.html. Now going back to the app.py, as usual we are going to import Flask. So from Flask import Flask render render underscore template, and then we initialize the app Flask, and here we say underscore underscore name underscore underscore, and then we have app dot route, and here we use the user and def user, and then we say quotation, we say return render template, and use user.html, and name is equal to Neelish, and then we have the value for balance. So balance is equal to 4.5. So what we are saying here is that uh, use the user.html. So that's the HTML we are going to render. The value for the variable name that will go in here in uppercase is going to be Nilesh, and the value for the variable balance which will go here is 4.5. So in the end we simply need to type our if statement, because we are going to run this file directly from the terminal, and here is the name is equal to main. For that we use app.run debug is equal to true. All right, so let's go back in the terminal, run app.py, and here is what we have. So the app is running. Now we need to navigate to the /user, because that's the URL we are using, and here we see the name in uppercase as we wrote here. Then formatting is 4.5, so we have two places after the decimal as we see here for the float, and the length is 6 because we have this 3 plus 3, 6 letters or characters in the name. So this is how we can uh, use Python formatting inside HTML within the Jinja syntax or Jinja template. Now let's look at an example where we are going to use a blueprint as of HTML. Let's say that is going to be the base.html, and then we are going to write another file which is about.html that will use that base.html and then add on some stuff to it to be displayed in the browser. So for that I'm already in the project folder J5. We will go ahead and create the app.py file and then create the templates folder in here. So let's type templates. Now within templates, this time we are going to have two files, and the first file is going to be the base.html, and then we have the about.html file. Okay. Next, let's start out with the base.html. So what we will do here is write out the HTML code, and for that we specify the doc type, that is to tell that this is the HTML5 code we are having in this file, and then the standard syntax for HTML, we simply type the HTML opening closing angle brackets, and inside of this we have the header. So head, and in head we are going to put a title. So title, again open close angle brackets. This, let's call this my site. Below that is the body of the page, and body we simply say body open close angle brackets, and inside of this let's give it a heading with h1, and the h1 is main layout. So with that, and this is where the part that's going to come in from the about.html, and we are going to put a placeholder. So we'll say open close curly braces %%, and inside of this I'm going to type block content, and this is uh, for the starting of that block content, and then we also need to end it. So we'll again put curly braces %%, and inside of this we are going to type end block. So block content, so start and then end. We can remove this extra space. Now we go to our HTML right here, and type what needs to go in this content block in that we have in the base. And so when we display about.html, we do not have to type the title again, because we are using the base.html as a blueprint. So all of that we can directly use by typing open close curly braces %%, and here we are going to type extends base.html. So that is to tell that we are going to use the base.html code in here, and the Jinja template will then do the rest of the work to put whatever we put inside block contents in that particular uh, code. So to do that, we are going to use the same block content and end block. I'm going to copy that, paste it here. Because we need to write some stuff, I'm going to put those two on separate lines, and in here is where we type the code that would be special for the about.html page. And so we type about page, and below that we are going to type the paragraph where we have this is the about page content, full stop. All right, so it's as simple as that. It looks scary when we look at it first, but once you know what is going on, it is pretty straightforward. So note that because we have just one block, we have this. So if we had to put the stuff in some other places, the Jinja template would have different notations for this, but we are not going in that detail just yet. So this is a simple example where we can see if we call the this about.html, how Jinja template can be used to run Python code within it. And the Python code that we have here, let's say we don't have any Python code in this example. This is simply to show that we are using base.html as a blueprint. And here in app.py we use Flask, import Flask render underscore template, and app is equal to Flask. Again, when I said blueprint, it's not exactly the blueprint method that is in here in Flask, but this is just to say that that's a template we are using. At app.route / and then we have the function home, and here we return render template and about.html, and then we say if name is equal to main, and then we use app.run debug is equal to true. Right, so that is the code we have. Now we can go back in here. I'm going to navigate to the project folder J5, clear the terminal, run python space app.py, and refresh the browser. But before I do that, we need to go. Yep, so we are at the route. So route is just saying root URL. So I'm going to delete that and leave the root URL. Now we can see that in the about.html we didn't have, all we had was the about page, and then this is the about page content. So just these two lines were there, and the rest of it came from this base.html where uh, uh, where we, to get that in the about.html, we simply used the Jinja template and said extends base.html. So this is how Jinja template can also help us pull information from other HTML file into another HTML file. And in this final example, we are going to look at a comment in Jinja, how to write that. Again, we are going to be here in the project folder. I'm in J6, and let's create a new file, app.py as usual. Then create the templates folder, templates, and that's where we have it. Then we can create two files. The first one is base.html, where we are going to put the Jinja comment in the Jinja template format. Then we are going to create another page which is home.html. Now inside of the base.html, that's where the main HTML code would lie. We start out with the doc type, and here we say that's HTML. Then as usual, we have the HTML, and then we have the head, and inside head let's put a title. Title is going to be simply my site, and then below that is the body. Again, in the body we are going to have the header, so we can say header h1 and main layout, and inside of this we are going to put the Jinja part, and above it we are going to put another Jinja part. Now in here what we are going to type is what we have used previously, which is percent sign, and inside of between these two percent signs we are going to type block content, and then have the same thing again repeated with the text saying end block, so that's the start and end of that block. And above here we are going to use the comment, so we are going to say this is a Jinja comment, and it's not going to appear in the HTML in the browser. So that's what we are going to try and see when we render the page, the home.html. So with that, let's go now to the home.html, and we are going to need this. So I'm going to simply copy paste that here, and we are going to type the code for home.html here. But before we do that, we also need to tell that this is going to extend based on the base.html. So we say extends quotation base.html, and then percent sign, and then down here we simply say welcome, simple text, so welcome exclamation mark. Right, so we have the base.html which we are going to extend in here, so we don't have to type all this code again in home.html. Jinja template does it for us. It pulls that information from base.html and then inserts whatever we have in the block content, this block in here when the home.html is rendered. And this line, this is a Jinja comment, would not appear or should not appear in the browser when we run this. Before we are able to run the app, we need to type the code for that. So from Flask import Flask with uppercase F, then we render underscore template app is equal to Flask underscore name, and then we say at app dot route, and here we say /, and then below that we say we create the function home. It simply returns render template with the name of the HTML, home.html. No variables to pass this time because we just simply have the text welcome exclamation mark that we would like to see in the browser. And to end this, we have if name is equal to main, app.run, debug is equal to true. Now let's go in the terminal. I'm going to close the previous run, clear this, navigate to the new project folder J6, and check that we do have all the files, and then run this app.py. Notice that we are going to go to just the root, so I'm going to refresh this, and here it is. We see the main layout which is coming in from the base HTML, my site, that's the title that we see up here in the tab, and this message welcome that is coming in from the home.html where we have written that inside of this angle bracket p. So this is how we can use Jinja to run Python code inside of HTML. Um, and so the beauty of all this is the Flask in the background can talk with both HTML and Python to pass information to the front end or get information from front end to the back end via use of variables or this route. So that's all I have for this lesson. I hope this was helpful for you to get a glimpse into what Jinja templates are and how we are going to use it in upcoming videos, where uh, now the code might look much familiar because we have done sort of a refresher on Jinja. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please do let me know in the comment section below. I hope to see you all in the next video.